Welcome to Decentralized News. Give us 30 minutes and we will keep you at the tip of the spear in the cryptoverse with the biggest headlines of the week. I'm your host, Piter, joined as always by Aussie. Your time is valuable, so let's get right into it. On today's show, we'll be covering Bitcoin and ETH exchange balances, which have been trending downwards. Tether has a couple of big stories. Check in on Tether, the biggest stable coin. We'll look at the ETH ETFs, a couple of stories around the ETH ETFs, coin speed run, and a quick pulse check on the macro. We always touch on it. You want to kick us off today, Ozzy?
Yeah, let's get into it. Bitcoin exchange volumes have been plummeting over the last, really since January. The supply is currently down to about 1.8 million Bitcoin on exchange. Some people are saying the supply crunch is in, despite Bitcoin being range bound for the last 2 weeks, let's say. It's hit all-time lows not seen since 2018 in terms of reserves on exchange. So that's pretty big news.
Yeah, I think something's going to give eventually. There's a lot of GBTC selling still, but that can't go on forever. I saw some estimates that are around 3 months of it at current pace. Maybe we had a nice little pump, saw some all-time highs. We're having trouble breaking through, getting into price discovery mode. And like you said, we've been range bound, but we're still before the halving, and the all-time high was a new thing pre-halving. So we'll see. Wouldn't it be crazy if that was the high of the bull market? Is that fathomable to you?
It's not fathomable to me because if we think about it, if GBTC selling just lasts another 3 months, that's not you've got 3 months of selling and then you've just got buy pressure from there. Like you've got not unabated buy pressure, but you've got generally strong buy pressure. So there's no reason for this to be the top. Could I be wrong? Absolutely. But
the only other big kind of macro FUD was quantum computing is gonna force Bitcoin to have to do a hard fork or whatever. But I've also heard quotes from people like Elon Musk saying no, that's not possible. I'm no expert with quantum computing, but that was the only other big, huge FUD game changer that will totally change the dynamics of Bitcoin that I see that could possibly scare me.
Yeah, that doesn't really scare me all that much. I think really quantum computing, yeah, it might have an impact, but it's not a game changer. Even that Mac story that we covered last week, talking to some people that are big into operational security, said you physically need to get a hold of a person's computer to be able to take advantage of what they're talking about. It's not something that you could just do remotely. And so the risks of that are pretty low in terms of any risk.
The risk is the lack of understanding, and it's a scary thing, like a black swan potential.
Yeah, absolutely. So it's interesting. I think something's gonna have to give, and we will get out of this range. But honestly, sometimes the longer the range, the bigger the pump. So
I know what I'm betting on, but I'm not a financial advisor. But Bitcoin isn't the only balances plummeting on exchanges. Ether has seen a similar trend. Ether exchange reserves have been declining since the beginning of 2024 as well. This is from data from CryptoQuant. Centralized exchanges have recorded net outflows exceeding 800,000 Ether at a value of about 2.4 billion. While Bitcoin is at lows not seen since 2018, ETH is at lows not seen since 2016. So some positive news for ETH as well. They are seem like a little bit more dependent on activity. However, positive news.
Yeah, going down to 2016 levels, we got to think about the fact that we are in prime airdrop season. So if you've got ETH and you're active in the scene, you are probably using your ETH to farm an airdrop of one kind or another.
So when you're staking it, that's definitely not on an exchange, right?
Yeah, exactly. If you're staking your ETH in either a validator or with all of the restaking platforms that are out there, you're not on a validator, you're not on an exchange, and if you're doing ZK Sync, Scroll, or any of those other ones, other airdrops that are going on, you're also not on exchange. And I think that is also contributing to lower than normal balance of ETH on exchange now.
To pivot right into the ETH ETF updates, a couple of stories from Fidelity and also from BlackRock. Did you see this Larry Fink news?
Yeah, Larry Fink is saying that the ETH ETF is
Bullish.
still a possibility. He's still bullish on
He's so
an
bullish.
ETH ETF, which is pretty interesting considering that odds of an ETH ETF expectation-wise have been dropping steadily since the start of the year.
Right.
So he thinks that even if the SEC wins their fight against the CFTC and calling ETH a security, that we could still see an ETH ETF in the US, even if the underlying asset could be at one time or could be considered at this time a security. This is super interesting because BlackRock's record speaks for itself. They've only ever had one ETF denied. So
that's a good point. That is not brought up enough, I think, with this ETH ETF. Everyone's saying, "Oh, it's not going to happen. It's not going to happen." But yeah, that's a good point.
Yeah, and like the fact that Larry Fink is out here talking so positively and is building on ETH. Like they launched their build product on ETH.
Right.
Like they know, he knows where it's going, and he's got some powerful friends in Congress. They want the stock market to go up pre-election. So they've got to keep Larry Fink and his BlackRock friends happy because they need someone to be keeping the market going. So
at the same time, this still feels a little bit more complicated than the Bitcoin ETF. And I think one story that kind of highlights that was Fidelity adds staking to their Ether ETF application, which was not a thing, obviously, with Bitcoin. Fidelity filed an S1 application with the United States Securities and Exchange Commission on March 27th to create a spot Ether exchange-traded fund. And the ETF would give Fidelity the option to stake part of the ETH it holds. And Lido, which is you can stake your ETH with Lido, they jumped 9% on the news. So this is an angle that didn't exist with the BTC one. Bitcoin.
Yeah, it's definitely a complication, and maybe part of the reason why
regulators to navigate it and figure out how to deal with it.
Oh yeah, I think it's one of the reasons why they might have asked for information from the ETH Foundation last week. I think that's a strong possibility, just because staking is such a foreign concept to them. And then given the fact that you've got 8 applicants, it's not like you've got 1 or 2 applicants. You've got BlackRock, you've got Fidelity, you have 8 major players all submitting filings. The fact that Fidelity even felt comfortable adding that to their application gives me a feeling that maybe there are still some kinks to be worked out before the May 23rd deadline, but there's still strong likelihood of approval. Maybe it's not May 23rd, maybe it's the fall or late summer.
Yeah, I wonder how that's going to play out, what it looks like, or will people have to resubmit and just start all over?
I think there's only a few that have May 23rd expectation dates. I've got to go back and break down that so that I can come back with a solid date, but I think not all of them are due May 23rd.
Oh, watching them unfold. Another kind of big player in this space. You have Bitcoin and ETH. Those are your top 2 market cap. But number 3 is Tether. It's a stable coin. So it's always at $1. It doesn't move. So it's not the sexy one. But we were talking about Tether a lot when the market was in full bear. Like, is this thing going to be the bottom of the bear? Is something going to happen with Tether? Is this going to be the black swan? But Tether made some positive news with Bitcoin and more crunch on the supply side. But Tether becomes the 7th largest Bitcoin holder with a $618 million purchase that they announced. So they bought 8,889 Bitcoin. Now their holdings are at 75,354 BTC. So they are the 7th largest, valued at $5.23 million. The move puts them ahead of Arkham
Intelligence, which they 1,110 or 117, just under 5.22 billion. And we're now seeing Tether own about 0.3% of Bitcoin's total circulating supply.
And to put that in a little context, like MicroStrategy is gunning for 1%. That's like a stated goal. And they're at, I forget what they have, like 250 right now?
Yeah, they're somewhere around 250.
Just to give a little context to that percentage, they're about a third of that 1%. So pretty big holdings.
Yeah. And then looking at something else that Tether's doing around Bitcoin, they are continuing to spend about $500 million towards the construction of Bitcoin mining facilities in South America, specifically Uruguay, Paraguay, and El Salvador. So they're aiming to also get into that 1% goal of computing power that helps secure the network. Pretty big goals from Tether in terms of both Bitcoin holdings and Bitcoin mining power.
Yeah, they continue to develop in this space. They're not without their FUD. We'll get into that a little bit, but they have also announced the successful completion of a system and organization controls audit. This is quote unquote the highest level of security compliance that an organization can demonstrate. This is an audit developed by the American Institute of Certified Accountants. And they're going to go through like a level 2 version of this after this auditing firm looks at them for.
No, this was a layer 2. This was a level 2 audit already.
There's some other, like after 12 months of looking at it, they get to another level. Like
I think
something
they
like that.
they have to do 2, and it's like a comparison. There's like you do a level 2, then you do another level 2, and then you do comparison of those level 2s to make sure that.
Yeah, once they maintain that level of audit for a year, they get another certification or something.
Yeah.
But yeah, they have committed to doing these annually, and they are the third, like I mentioned, the third largest cryptocurrency by market cap. To put it in perspective, and they have about 100 billion market cap. To put it in a little bit of perspective, the second largest stablecoin, USDC Circle, has a $32 billion market cap. They're the 7th largest. Now, we did mention some of the FUD. Tether continues to face persistent regulatory hurdles. Recent reports indicate that the U.S. and U.K. authorities are investigating crypto transactions involving Russia. So that's always a little scary. OKX delisted the digital assets for European clients, and there are suggestions that this has to do with the MiCA framework laws that are coming, I think,
in June, I believe.
Yeah, like this sometime this year. And then JP Morgan also sounded a cautionary note, expressing concerns that Tether's stablecoin market dominance could impede the broader growth of the crypto industry. So they're not without their hurdles, but they have in terms of internally, they have every intention of overcoming them.
Yeah, I think the 2 bigger stories about Russia and OKX is important to note because one of the main reasons that they hold such a large market share is because for most major exchanges like Binance and like OKX and Bybit, USDT and Tether is the crypto that is used to trade against Bitcoin or whatever else. Whereas USDC is a player, but mainly on Coinbase and Kraken. So you don't, if you were to have it delisted from more of these markets, then you could see its overall market share come down because it's not used as a reserve currency on exchange. Because USD probably has a much larger impact on if you look on chain, that's where most of USDC's volume is.
If you're enjoying the content, please do consider a like and subscribe. We appreciate it more than we can get into a kind of an altcoin speed run, although the first couple of stories aren't really speed run versions. Did you see this? This is an AI story. So SingularityNet, Fetch AI, and Ocean Protocol are reportedly discussing a token merger. Did you see this?
Yeah, I heard that there was almost the merger was more than guaranteed or close to guaranteed. Yeah, and they're aiming to merge their tokens into the token called Alt Signals, so ASI, with all of their tokens converting at different rates. I've seen different rates proposed, but with a fully diluted valuation of about $7.5 billion, they will still operate as separate entities, but they will merge their tokens essentially for better market penetration and better integration. So
these are already some of the biggest
AI tokens out there. And
yeah, so they're really interesting story.
Very dominant, and all of the tokens pumped on this news. I think Ocean was up at least 25% at one point following the news. And I know Fetch AI also pumped pretty hard on this news. Ajax as well, but I don't have better numbers on that one.
Yeah. Another kind of, there's two other big stories in the altcoin universe. Farcaster hit my radar recently. I'm not involved with it. It took like a splash story to get me to see it. But since January, the Farcaster platform, it's a decentralized social media, has seen a significant jump in user activity. Following, they had a Warpcast introduction of frames. This is a new feature that allows you to run inside posts without leaving the platform. So for instance, Frames enables users to mint non-fungible tokens, perform transactions. It looks like you can go there for all your DeFi needs, access external blog posts, respond to surveys. The update significantly boosted user engagement. The number of daily users on Farcaster went from 5,000 to 250,000. 5,000, this is the beginning of the year in January, to 250,000 by the right now. These platforms are characterized by features, these decentralized social media, censorship resistance, and you can more easily get content monetization without intermediaries. So other popular names, one I heard of, Friendtech, but there's also Minds and Mastodon. I guess the problem is keeping people in these, keeping retention is like their major issue, but some interesting development with Farcaster.
Absolutely. They had a pretty interesting airdrop, including from Degen Chain, which is our next story. They're a new layer 3 blockchain. I thought we just started getting layer 2s. Like what, all of a sudden we're getting layer 3s?
Big splash from a layer 3 that I've noticed. Oh.
Yeah. They're pretty big splash. They launched about 4 days ago, and their transaction volume and everything has been massive. The native token Degen is up about 500% since its release. That's not small potatoes. With meme coin season at an all-time high right now, there's meme coins moving from Solana to Base and now onto Degen Chain with the layer.
I've noticed it. I didn't hear Degen Chain though, because I was trading a little bit of meme coins. I was playing around a little bit, but I noticed all of a sudden Degen Chain is launching token after token. A lot of them are scams, but and rug pulls, but they're launching a bunch of tokens.
They've recorded nearly 100 million in transaction volume in the past 24 hours alone, and over 272,000 transactions with about 7,500 contracts and 2,300 tokens.
In 4 days.
That is nuts. It also shows just how easy it is now to boot up a contract or a token and just launch it. So
and they say, oh, you can make money on meme coins, but man, there's so much junk to sift through. It's still hard. Yeah, people get lucky and hit the lottery, but there's so many that lose money. It's not so easy.
Yeah, it takes you losing a lot of money for the chance to potentially hit a jackpot.
Yeah, they're so similar to playing the lottery. It feels like gambling when I'm messing around.
Oh, absolutely. And right now, Degen Chain has no supported stablecoins as of Monday.
This is a really interesting point. I'm sorry to interrupt.
No, I'm glad that you think that this is really important. So everything is done in Degen token. It's essentially like Solana in some ways, because before you had USDC on Solana, you just had Solana to make transactions with, and we're seeing.
Yeah, the network has no supported stablecoins as of Monday, and the users can track back only in Degen, which is interesting.
You're spending Degen, so you have to buy Degen in order to use the chain, so could be contributing to that price zooming, especially with all of these tokens being launched. And just a quick kind of idea on what layer 3s are. Layer 3s are essentially new networks built on top of a layer 2. They're supposed to be super fast and verify only a very specific set of tasks, with Degen token aiming to be the native gas token, and they're looking to enable new experiments with tipping, community rewards, payments, gaming, and more. So lots going on there. But You pointed this out, this story about Polygon.
When I saw this about the stable coins and that it's just in DGen, it just felt like, yes, it's popular, but with the second it's not popular, is this thing fold like a house of cards? Like, what is going on? This is all happening so fast, right? So I don't have my head around 100%, but it was definitely like a warning sign. But at the same time, people said that about Solana and meme coins. It's not healthy, but they just keep going and going. And what, Solana's approaching $200 a coin. It was at like $9. And meme coin season doesn't seem to be going away anytime soon. It's almost like instead of people launching projects right now, they're just launching meme coins. So it's fun to get involved early, that kind of a thing. But Polygon Labs has criticized just layer 3 chains in general for drawing value and security away from Ethereum. And they have no plans for their own layer 3 network. So it's not without its detractors. And I am completely undecided on this whole thing. This is all very new to me. But just important to note that there are possibly cons to it.
Yeah, I see the CEO Labs of Polygon Labs point. We don't have layer 2s and fund interoperability figured out fully yet. Like, that infrastructure isn't there for seamless interoperability yet. So why, like, adding an additional layer on this without really having a strong foundation is asking for a little bit of disaster.
And let's call it degen and just do strictly meme coins.
Yeah,
and we'll
exactly.
do 1,000 of them in a couple of days. You know what I mean? It's like, whoa, that's a little scary. Careful out there. Don't get burned.
Yeah, that's it. But let's get into some of the quicker, I'd say, the news and notes version of altcoins right now.
Speed run. The altcoin speed run.
Solana has about 3 major airdrops that are looking to inject liquidity into the system, with Parcel, Camino, and Wormhole all set to drop their tokens in early April. So that's
the only big news for Solana. Pendle is pumping, and they were teasing Solana deployment.
So big news coming for Solana right now. At the same time, Cosmos is teasing a big April 2nd announcement, with Aptos saying DeFi days are also going to be starting April 2nd, with some RWA announcements being teased.
Yeah, and then we have the Athena token launching on April 2nd. It seems like there's a lot of stuff coming on April 2nd. No one wants to be accused of pulling an April Fool's joke, apparently. So they're waiting for the 2nd for all these big launches.
Yeah.
And announcements.
Exactly. So exciting to see what comes out of all of these altcoins in the next week or so. And let's look at the macro. Little pulse check. How'd you feel about the numbers this week?
I took a quick look at them before the show. We're still waiting just for this Fed pivot, right? Just in general. Last week, everything seemed relatively flat or slightly positive compared to expectations. So we had GDP, unemployment, and PCE inflation data coming in at or slightly better than expectations. So no big rumblings there in terms of, oh no, it's all going sideways, which could cause the Fed to pivot. So maybe it's more steady as we go. But this week we do get some big unemployment numbers, the main unemployment numbers coming from the federal government. And then we get next week, we'll get CPI and PPI inflation numbers. All looking forward to this May 1st Fed meeting, and where we're expecting no change. It's just more looking, when are we going to change? The next meeting after that is June 12th. And right now market participants are like, I don't know, 60-40, expecting maybe the pivot will start, but not a lot of fire behind it.
Yeah, very interesting setup right now in terms of what we see. And the macro is definitely uncertain. Election years generally are great for the market, but this year's been different just in terms of how the crypto cycle's been. So what can we say about the market? We will have to watch and see. I want to thank everybody for watching. If you like the content, please drop a like, subscribe, share it with a friend. It makes a huge difference. It means more to us and we hope to see you all again next time.
Just a quick reminder, we are here for mostly entertainment and educational purposes. We are not financial advisors. Please do your own research and beware out there. Thanks, everybody.
Thank you.